Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Benji-Sales live chat. It is so good to be back. It is so good to see everyone. I hope you're all doing amazing. I hope you're all doing fantastic today. I have been playing some Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. That Iki Island expansion is amazing. I'll tell you what, it's reminded me how much I loved that game last year. It is just incredible. I'm having an absolute blast with it on PlayStation 5. Highly recommend anyone that enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima, make sure you get that expansion. It is very, very good. All right, so what can we talk about today? Well, there's actually quite a bit, right? Quite a bit I think we can get to, and that's already reflected in chat where we have a bunch of questions. We've got release dates for Horizon Forbidden West. We have a release date finally for Halo Infinite. We've got a ton of games and updates and new reveals that happened at Gamescom. Jeff Keighley's show, Opening Night Live. I thought it was actually a really good show. I really enjoyed it. Really good. I thought it was a great stream. The Xbox one, not so much, but the Jeff Keighley Opening Night Live I thought was a good stream. We got games like Midnight Suns announced, which is a new Marvel game. We got Saints Row and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we can talk about all of that and so much more. For anyone, if this is your first time ever being part of my live chat, basically the way it works, it's a stream that's 100% driven by you, your comments, your questions. We just break down all of the new and latest news in the video game industry. So make sure you start dropping those comments, dropping those questions down into chat, and I'm going to get to as many as possible today. Two ways to do that. First of all, of course, there is the free method. You just type a question, drop it into chat, and I get to as many free ones as I possibly can. Of course, there is also the super chat option in there. That is just a way to support the channel and guarantee that I get to your question. Super chats get priority. However, don't feel obligated or pressured to donate into super chat. That's just, again, a way to guarantee I get to your question and also a way to help support me if you feel like doing that. Really quick, I will give you those release dates just in the very tiny chance anyone missed it. Horizon Forbidden West is going to be February 18th, 2022. So it did get delayed till next year. I think we all kind of saw that coming. I think we all expected it. We hadn't gotten a release date for it yet. We hadn't seen anything new on that game in months. And of course, there were the reports that came out from Jason Schreier and Jeff Grubb that it was getting delayed till next year. So I think it getting pushed to 2022, not that big a deal, to be honest. We all saw it coming. And it's not that late, right? It's basically going to be right on the 5th year anniversary of Horizon Zero Dawn. So yeah, it's not 2021, but it's still early 2022. Not a big deal in my opinion. And then Halo Infinite is actually going to be a little bit later than I think most people expected. That game's December 8th, 2021. So it is going to be a December launch coming in right at the end of the year. That means it is not eligible for the Game Awards this year at Jeff Keighley's show. So that's pretty interesting. There's zero chance now it can win Game of the Year there at least. And yeah, so that's over with. All right, everyone, that is kind of just a few things right off the top. I'm going to start diving into your comments and questions because we already have a whole bunch in here. I'm going to start getting to those, everybody. All right. Sorry about my voice. So anyone that watched the stream last chat, my daughter got RSV, and she passed it to me. So I've been actually battling RSV for a week. It got me really sick. I was surprised. I knew RSV was very intense in children. I did not know how much it would kick your butt as an adult. I have had a very rough week fighting RSV. So if you hear my voice, it's really hoarse. Yeah, I might start coughing during this. I've been COVID tested. It's not COVID. It is RSV. But yeah, I've been battling it. So you can probably hear it in my voice. All right, Plastic Hearts Podcast with a $4.99 super chat to start things off. Thank you so much, Plastic Hearts Podcast, saying, Benji boy, answer this whenever you want. Predictions for Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley fight Saturday. I know I'm a POS. Will you watch it live? I'm off that day, so I actually am going to watch it live. I'll make this really brief for people that don't care about a boxing match between, Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul. You know, Jake, I think, is a better boxer than we all thought he was whenever he very first started doing this, right? I think we all thought he would be kind of a joke and have zero skill at all. That turned out to not be true. You know, Jake Paul actually is an athletic guy. You know, he's big. He's a big dude. Obviously, he has punching power, right? Regardless of how you feel about his technique or his skill, he clearly can punch, right? He's got power. He's got that natural power. I think, and this is just a guess, but I think Tyron is going to be the more technical guy of the two. The question you have to ask yourself, though, put it this way: if this was prime Tyron Woodley, if we were getting the Tyron Woodley from, say, 4 or 5 years ago, I think Woodley would kind of demolish him. Keep in mind, though, we're dealing with a Woodley that's almost 40 years old. He lost 4 UFC fights in a row. He is slowed down a lot. I mean, he just doesn't look like the same guy he did, 4 or 5 years ago. I'm going to still pick Woodley just based off of experience. He is a legit fighter. But I won't be surprised if Jake Paul wins, to be honest with you. Woodley has slid a lot, we've seen in recent years. So I'm still going with Woodley, but I won't be shocked at all if Jake knocks him out. And am I going to watch it live? Yeah, I'm going to watch it live. I'm off, so it's the rare Saturday I'm not working, so yeah, I'll watch it. Or Sunday, I mean. It's a Sunday fight. And then a second Plastic Hearts podcast super chat here. Thank you so much, man. That's 2 in a row. Thoughts on the Saints Row devs getting hate after the reveal? I was surprised by this. Yes. Yeah, I was surprised. I'll be honest, I was surprised. Personally, didn't look that crazy different to me. Will the new take hurt reception? I agree. Here's the thing. I'm not the most massive Saints Row fan. I loved Saints Row the Third. But outside of that, I don't really care about that franchise too much. Like Saints Row 4, I played a little bit. I didn't even finish it. I thought it was too over the top. I thought it was too weird. And not in a fun way. I just thought it was actually silly. But Saints Row the Third, I really loved. I thought it had a good balance of being a somewhat, funny and over the top game, but also still having very slight hints of, not seriousness, but it didn't feel just completely ridiculous like 4 did. And then the first 2 games are just whatever. I don't really have much attachment to them. I didn't think it looked that different. In terms of I'm seeing a lot of Saints Row fans really upset that think it feels like a radically different tone or something like that. It didn't seem like it to me. It looked like a new Saints Row game, like what I would have expected it to look like. So, but again, I'm not a hardcore Saints Row guy. So maybe these hardcore fans, it looks way off to them. But I'm actually from my perspective, I'm more where you are, Plastic Hearts, where it really surprised. If you would have, just told me to make up a whatever, the setting did catch me off guard. That's more like a south, a southwestern type city. That part I did not expect. I'll be honest. The setting I did not expect. But the actual, look of it, it just looks like a new Saints Row game to me. So, yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was a little weird. This is so crazy. Stream just started and it's already crashing. Y'all, I am on a hardwired connection. I used to think that my internet problems all came from being on Wi-Fi. I am a hardwired connection now and I still get constant drops. I'm going to have to call my internet provider. I don't know what to do anymore. It's ruining my streams. I'm so sorry, y'all. I have no idea what to do. All right. I'm going to keep going. We're going to battle through it like we always do every single stream. I don't know what to do. I pay a ton of money for internet, and it just crashes nonstop, even when running a wired connection. It's unbelievable. Timmer72299 with a 2 super chat. No question today. Just wanted to show my support. Thank you so much, Timmer. Thank you so much. Thanks for being in chat like always. And then RRD with a 2 super chat. Just want to support. Psychonauts 2 is great. That is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing Psychonauts 2 is awesome. I have not gotten a chance to play it yet because my Xbox actually had to send it off to get repaired. So my Xbox was crashing games constantly. Just constantly crashing games on Series X. I know that some games, people have had trouble with, from time to time. My Series X was, it was just crashing games constantly. Halo was crashing on it. MLB The Show was crashing on it. Flight Simulator is crashing on it. Just games all the time. I'd boot games up, and they were just crashing constantly. So I sent my Series X off to get fixed. They apparently have fixed it and are sending it back. I'm hoping it worked, because I'll tell you what, my Series X was getting to the point it was almost unplayable. It was just crashing games constantly. So hopefully they fixed it. But it's on its way back now. So I'm excited to try Psychonauts 2 when it gets here. All right. Super chats are cleared for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for all those super chats. Let's start diving into your free questions. All right. The Deadly 8. Hello there, Benji. It is almost September, and PlayStation haven't had a big showcase yet. Do you think it is possible that they will not have a big showcase until 2022? Wouldn't that hurt them? You know what, Deadly 8? This sounds crazy. I actually am starting to think that they might not have a show until next year. That to me is wild, but it really might not happen. So here's the thing. The fact that they announced the Horizon Forbidden West delay at opening night live does make me think they could be skipping this year for a show. I would have never predicted that, but I mean, that's kind of the news I feel like you would want with like a new trailer, if you were going to show a new trailer, and you would do that at the showcase. And here's the thing. Basically, if they want to have a showcase, in my opinion, you tend to want to do that, I would say, like, you know, earlier than later, considering holidays right around the corner. Now, I know that they used to do the PlayStation Experience in like December, and, you know, they could still do like a December showcase if they wanted, but whenever you do that, it's like at the same time as the Game Awards, and the Game Awards has become like a really big deal now. So do you really want to put a PlayStation showcase right next to the Game Awards? You don't do it in November, in my opinion. November is already too wild of a month with Black Friday, crazy holiday shopping. I guess you could put one in October, but yeah, Deadly 8. If Sony doesn't do a show in September, like if we don't get an announcement about a showcase in September, I don't think it's happening this year. You know, I don't think so. I think they'll probably, here's the thing. If they don't have a showcase at all in September, I do think they're going to bring something really big to the Game Awards. So you will probably get something really big at Keely's stream, or Keely's show at the Game Awards from Sony, but you may not get... the stream's current bitrate is higher than the recommended bitrate. I don't know. Hopefully you guys can see me. I'm just getting nonstop errors on my end. But yes, I think it might not happen. You might not get one until next year from Sony. Now, the question of will it hurt them? I don't think so. Because right now, demand for PlayStation 5 is so enormous, it's so big, that, you know, it's whatever. Like, they can just ride out momentum for the rest of the year. You know, they don't even have a big holiday game this holiday. And that's not that big of a deal, because third party really is what carries the holidays traditionally. There's nothing that's like PlayStation 5 won't sell because it doesn't have a big new game this holiday, right? Like, it's impossible to find a PS5 almost period anyways. And that's going to be the case, I think, all through this year still. So I would say from a fan perspective, it sucks, right? Like, I think we all, myself included, are ready for PlayStation to start talking. I feel like, honestly, this year, in terms of the news cycle, I'm not talking about sales, not talking about business, I'm strictly talking news. I feel like Microsoft and Xbox have kind of dominated compared to PlayStation, strictly in terms of news, y'all. I'm not saying better games. I'm not saying, oh, it's selling more. But if you just look at Microsoft and Xbox, they are constantly in the news cycle. My concurrent viewers dropped hard, so maybe the stream crashed. Dang, dude. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to keep streaming, but I have no idea if you guys can see this. This is crazy. I just don't know. I don't know what to do. Okay, But yeah, anyways, in terms of the news cycle, I feel like Microsoft and Xbox have just had so much more news than Sony has. So, but in sales, it's not hurting Sony. So it's really just basically Xbox trying to build their own momentum because, as we know, the Xbox One generation was a bit of a disaster for them. So they have a lot that they need to do. So I don't think it's the end of the world that Sony doesn't have a showcase. I think it sucks for the fans. As we talked about on here before, there's a lot of PlayStation Studios that we really have no announcements about what they're even doing. We haven't seen most of what Sony's got cooking for PS5 yet. So I would love to see one. I still think they might in September. But if you don't get a September showcase, then, probably not going to happen until next year. All right, I think we had some super chats drop. Holy cow, we got a huge one here from Anthony Johnson. Huge one. Concurrent viewers are down to 5. Wow, we must keep crashing for some people. Because that's the lowest concurrent viewers is 1. That's the lowest I've ever had. I'm guessing the stream's completely dead. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep answering questions in case YouTube is recording this. But I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to fix it. All right, Anthony Johnson with a 50 super chat. This is insane. Thank you so much, Anthony. That is extremely generous. So thank you so much. I hope you can even see this stream right now. 50, that is incredibly generous. Thank you so much. 50 here from Anthony Johnson. I mean, that's incredible. Happy birthday week, Benji. Thank you so much. Yes, it was just my birthday. Hope you had a great celebration. So what are your thoughts on Halo? Multiplayer looks absolutely stellar, but no new campaign footage. Also missing Black Friday with the December date. What do you think after Gamescom? Yeah, so first of all, again, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes. Let's talk some Halo. So, okay, to recap kind of the current Halo situation, and I'm sure most of you already know, but let's recap it. We've gotten this tech test. We've gotten a pretty darn good look at multiplayer, and they talk about multiplayer all the time. Like even this new Inside Infinite that just happened again was yet another multiplayer-focused thing. So I'm with Anthony Johnson in that I honestly am at the point that I have zero questions about the multiplayer being good or not anymore, especially because I've gotten to play it, right? So for anyone that didn't get to play the tech test, I can understand still being on the fence on how that multiplayer is going to be. I got to play it on Series X, and I'll tell you, obviously it was only 3 maps. It was just versus bots for a couple of days, but then we did get to play against real players, and I'll tell you what, playing against real players felt even better, felt even more amazing. Multiplayer, I'm sold. Like there's like zero doubt in my mind that multiplayer on Halo Infinite is going to be good. And this is coming from someone that hated Halo 4 and 5 multiplayer, completely hated it. I thought the multiplayer was amazing in the tech test, but the campaign, I hope it's good, but it is still a giant question. So the only time we saw it was over a year ago now. It's been more than a year, and I thought it looked very disappointing. Obviously, I thought at the time, and I even commented on this, I thought the gameplay looked fun. I thought the gameplay looked solid, but the actual, graphics and visuals, as we all know, I thought was massively underwhelming. The game arguably looked worse than Halo 4 and 5, which were last-gen games. And obviously, this game's going to be on last-gen as well, but it's also going to be on the new systems. I mean, the game should look better on Series X than Halo 4 and 5 do. So, that was a massive disappointment. We haven't seen it in over a year, and we really aren't getting updates on it. There's no new footage. There's no new talking points. Like, in this newest Inside Infinite recap, Joseph Staten, who's leading the game now, he had a little blurb about it, which was nice to see. Nice to see him giving, he teased a few things that he's gotten to, experience. And I'm not here to tell you the Halo Infinite campaign is going to be bad, because it legitimately might be a 10 out of 10. But we need to see it soon, okay? The co-op, as we know, has already been delayed. We haven't seen anything in over a year. I understand that they're in bugs and polishing mode right now, but I mean, they really need to show this thing. Like, I don't know. That's still a giant question mark, in my opinion, if that's going to be any good or not. I'm very hopeful, but put it this way. If you ask me which one do I feel more optimistic about, I'm 1,000 times more optimistic about the multiplayer than I am the campaign. So I expect the multiplayer to be a huge hit, like huge. I think we're going to see a ridiculous number that first month. Put it this way. I think 10 million players in its first month is the floor. The floor, y'all. The bottom. The very, very bottom that game's going to hit, in my opinion, is 10 million players in its first month, and it might be way higher than that. It's going to be the biggest Halo launch of all time. Now, in terms of sales, is it going to be the biggest launch of all time for Halo? I don't think so, right? I can't see this matching, games like Halo 3. However, in terms of players with that free-to-play aspect and also being available day one on PC, it will be I'm literally telling you right now, it will be the biggest launch ever for Halo. There's zero question in my mind. If we're just talking total engagement, total players, etc. So, it is what it is. That December date, I think, isn't the end of the world. Keep in mind, y'all, Cyberpunk 2077 launched in December as well. And that game had one of the biggest launches in the very history of video games. Now, as we all know, the game was not good. Legs are at least not polished. The sales completely cratered after that. But we have proof that a December date doesn't hurt your sales. Also, look at games like Smash, right? Wasn't Smash a December launch? Another absolute massive juggernaut. So launching in December doesn't hurt its sales potential at all. It is, however, later than I thought. And missing Black Friday does kind of suck, I think. But at the end of the day, there's so much momentum for these consoles that it probably doesn't really hurt them too much. But yeah, that's just some of my thoughts, Anthony Johnson. Feel very, very positive about Halo in terms of multiplayer. I think engagement will be massive. I don't think the December date's the end of the world, even though it is later than we think. But I am not sold on campaign. I hope it's good. I am very, very hopeful campaign's good. But considering we've gone over a year and we've had really no new update, I mean, to be perfectly honest, in terms of like a beefy, chunky update on what that campaign's like, we've had nothing in over a year. So I hope, I'm hopeful it's good, but I don't think it's a lock. And thank you again for that 50 super chat. That's unbelievably generous. Plastic Hearts Podcast with your third super chat of the chat. Holy cow, Plastic Hearts with another 5. Thank you so much, Plastic Hearts. Benji boy, last one, I'll leave you alone. But any more thoughts on the crazy reception Spidey No Way Home is getting? Thoughts on box office? Yeah, so Spider-Man No Way Home metrics are unbelievable, right? Anyone that follows me, I was tweeting about it in real time. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been starting to cover box office a little bit more on my Twitter account. For those of you that only care about games, I hope it doesn't bother you. I'm not posting about box office nonstop, but I am posting like some about movies, and there's a reason for that. I was a diehard box office follower, before basically, the pandemic killed the box office. But I was a guy for years and years, just like I talk about video game sales in terms of like forums and stuff. I was doing the same thing as I do talking about video game sales. I was talking about the box office results. I was following how movies did. I'm just a nerd like that. I like those data points. I like to see what people are watching, what they're into. So I have been covering box office results a little bit more. I plan on continuing that. Hope it doesn't bother anybody. But it won't be nonstop. Put it this way, as always with my content, I'm going to be tweeting about video games, 95% of the time. But there's going to be a little sprinkle of box office stuff in there because finally some big movies are starting to come out again. And I think it's interesting to follow them. I didn't tweet about it for basically, a year and a half or 2 years because there wasn't big movies coming out. Everything was doing terrible at the cinema. So I'm starting to cover it a little bit more again. However, in terms of Spidey No Way Home, it blew away my already insane expectations, right? I tweeted about this right as the trailer, actually before the trailer dropped. I was tweeting about some of the metrics I was seeing on Twitter and stuff, and I was like, yo, this is going to blow up. This is going to get a ton of views. The momentum already feels crazy just from the number of tweets and stuff we were seeing before the trailer was even out. Then the trailer drops and it goes, I mean, nuclear. It literally has the biggest first day ever for any movie trailer of all time, unseating Avengers Endgame. You know, I was tweeting in real time about it. Content creators doing reaction videos, okay? Just reaction videos. We're hitting 100, 200,000 views in an hour. And I'm somebody, you know, I like to watch reaction videos. I think it's fun. I like to see people get hyped. And let me tell you, it is very rare anything generates that kind of momentum that fast on reaction videos. So I was seeing that. I'm seeing the tweets go nuclear. It's crazy. Okay, so like I tweeted, Spidey No Way Home is literally going to tell us if a movie can still make $1 billion at the box office, you know, during this pandemic. No movie has done it. The closest one is Fast and Furious 9, Fast 9. It got to like close to 700 million. So to be honest, not too far, right? It needed another 300 million, which is a chunk, right? I mean, 300 million is still a lot of money to make up to get to $1 billion. But what I mean is, you know, it got past that 500 million mark. It got up to that 700 million. But this was also, of course, before Delta went insane. So who knows? But literally, if any movie can do it, it's going to be Spidey. The momentum for No Way Home is just through the roof. People are going nuts. It's a combination of Spidey's big in general, right? The last Spidey movie did $1.1 billion. It was the first Spidey film to do over $1 billion. Then you've got all that nostalgia for the, you know, Sam Raimi, early Spider-Man movies boosting it as well. I think you have the excitement of seeing Doctor Strange in there with Spidey. There's just a lot of elements that are leading to what, put it this way, if this was a non-pandemic movie, you know, I tweeted this, I think it could get close to $2 billion. And that sounds like a massive number considering the biggest Spider-Man ever is at $1.1 billion. So you're talking a giant increase, but I think it would have had a giant increase. Now, would it have had $2 billion for sure? I don't know, but I think it could have gotten close. It would have crushed that $1.1 billion that Far From Home did, you know, the last one. It would have been, put it this way, I feel very confident it would have been over 1.5. So yeah, huge. We'll find out, right? We'll find out. It depends on how Delta's doing. If Delta is somewhat calmed down by December, I think it does over $1 billion, even during a pandemic. But it's all going to depend on Delta. If Delta gets worse, then yikes. All right. And I think we have one more super chat. Benji with a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, Benji. Great to see you, Benji. Always in the chat. Hi, Benji. The Game Awards and Opening Night Live are starting to become key moments in the year. I agree. Getting Halo plus Call of Duty is unheard of. Our Jeff shows the standard now. Kind of, right? I tweeted about this, and it was kind of a joke, but I meant it. I was like, if Halo is at Jeff Keighley's Opening Night Live show and not at Xbox's own Gamescom stream, you gotta respect the Jeff Keighley bump. And it's true, right? It ended up at Keighley's show. I think that kind of shows you how massive the metrics are for Keighley. I mean, the guy, whether you like him or not, I'm a big fan. I'm a big Jeff Keighley fan. I think he does a lot of great work for the industry. I think he does a lot of supporting, you know, these studios, getting their trailers to get tons of views, spotlighting them, you know. I'm a big fan of what Jeff does. But, you know, as I always tell you with any content creator or celebrity or anyone in the industry, anyone can feel however they want. But I'm a big fan of Jeff. And his show is becoming, yeah, kind of the standard. I mean, I think that he said Opening Night Live, he tweeted out, had over 1 million concurrent viewers on Twitch. I mean, dude, over 1 million? Dude, that's nuts. And that was just Twitch. It's not counting YouTube. And then the Game Awards historically are even bigger than Gamescom Opening Night Live. So, yeah, I mean, he has really elevated that stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. I agree. So I think you can expect some really big reveals at the Game Awards. I think so. I absolutely think so. And again, I thought this Opening Night Live was really good. I was really impressed with it. Last year's Opening Night Live, I actually had some problems with. There were some cool announcements, but the advertisements to me felt ultra heavy at last year's. Now, of course, there were some ads this time, but I thought it felt way better pacing than last year's Gamescom, like way better. So I enjoyed the stream. I enjoyed it a lot. All right, super chats are clear for now. Thank you so much, everyone. Miles Morales, what's your rough sales estimate or prediction for Guardians of the Galaxy? Oh, this is such a hard one, Miles. Could it hit 2+ million? You know, this is one of those ones I genuinely have no idea. The brand's big. It looks interesting, but I literally have no idea what quality on this game is going to be like. None. I can't even figure it out from watching trailers. I can't tell if this is a game that's going to have like a 60s Metacritic or a game that's going to have like an 80s. You know, that's a massive gap. I have no idea. The game is weird to me in that it looks almost, what's the word I'm looking here for? Like two ends of the spectrum. There's times I look at Guardians and I think it looks really fun. I really like the ideas that they're doing. I like that it's single player focused. I like the Mass Effect style talking to the other Guardians and forming relationships with them. And then at other times I see the game and it looks like buggy and rough and weird. I have no freaking clue, Miles. And I know that's like a huge cop-out, but dude, I have no clue. I have no idea. I have no idea what the quality of that game is going to be like. Put it this way. I have to think it's going to hit a couple million just because of the Marvel branding. Because even Avengers hit a couple million. You know, it wasn't the massive success I think that they wanted it to be, but it still sold millions of copies. So I do think it's going to get a couple million sold, but, you know, will it be like a huge success? Genuinely have no freaking clue because I'm so unsure of the quality of that game. So a couple million, I think you can book it. You know, like you said, like 2+ million. Yeah, it's hard for me to envision it doing less than that. But I have no clue over that. No idea. I have no idea. I think we just had another beefy super chat drop. Thank you so much. From Toke Finn here, we have a DKK50. Thank you so much, Toke. Thoughts on Doke V, and I hope I'm saying that right. I actually am not 100% sure how to pronounce the name of this game. You know, it did some big numbers on social media. You know, I tweeted out, and, you know, Google Trends is weird. Let me tell y'all. So I don't know if anyone saw it. I deleted the tweet. I always tweet out the Google Trends lists after like the big showcases. I like to keep an eye on that. And Welfare and some other people were getting slightly different numbers than me, even though we had our settings the exact same. Like we were even comparing. I was showing screenshots. I had it set to worldwide, had it set for the last 4 hours, and we were getting slightly different stuff. Now, I was on mobile, and the other posts were coming from the web browser. I don't know why that would have any sort of difference, but I don't know if that was causing some of the issues. But we got some weird inconsistencies between them. So I went ahead and deleted the tweet because you guys know I never want to spread misinformation purposely. You know, is it going to happen occasionally on accident? Well, yeah, that's anybody, right? Anyone that's tweeting about news of any kind, every once in a while you might get a data point that's slightly off. I always delete my tweets when that happens because I don't want to misinform people. But anyways, Doke V had a massive search spike, like huge, regardless of however your metrics were showing. It had an enormous spike. In fact, it had the biggest spike of any game at the Game Awards. Now, it didn't have the highest overall searches. It was below some things like Halo Infinite, Saints Row, etc. They had a higher average of searches over time. But Doke V, or Dokev, however you say it, had an enormous search spike. The game visually, I thought, looked stunning. It looked really, you know, cute and interesting. I thought it looked fun. However, I hear this game is an MMO. That's a bit of a bummer to me, but that's just because I'm not really into MMOs. I think it could be big. Here's what I'll say. I think this is a game PlayStation should partner with if it's going to come to PlayStation. I'm not entirely sure if platforms are announced. But this seems like the kind of studio and the kind of game that if you're PlayStation, you try to form that partnership with, get some marketing for it. You know, a nice comparison, I think, to this was Genshin Impact. And I know the gameplay is totally different. Visual design is totally different. But it's a game that has done very well on PlayStation. I feel like it fits a lot of the PlayStation demographics. it just did well, right? It was a good partnership, Genshin Impact and PlayStation. If I was them, I would also partner. Oh, the Bigelow says it's not an MMO. Okay, that's good news. I saw some people saying it was like an MMO type game. If it's not an MMO, I feel even better about it. So, yeah, my main thought on it, looks amazing visually. I think the art style and stuff's really fun. It's something different, right? Not every game needs to appeal to everyone. This is a game I could see massively turning some people off. But there's not a lot of games out there that look like this or have this sort of style. It's a fresh look. I think it could be big. My main thing, like I said, if I'm PlayStation, I try to partner with that studio. I definitely try to partner with that studio in marketing and things like that. And yeah, social metrics looked really good. Elias Stapleton, the game of the year are almost decided. Pretty sad that Halo is not there. Yep. And possibly with the masterpieces that are coming 2022, I think Halo will not be in the Game of the Year awards for 2022. I actually agree with that. I think Halo is not going to get nominated next year. I think it's almost impossible. 2022 looks like on paper, I tweeted this and I stand by it, one of the most stacked years I've ever seen in the history of video games. And I truly mean that. Now, will it end up being one of the best? Who knows, right? Who knows how many games will get delayed? Who knows how many of these games might be disappointing from what we thought they were going to be? But in terms of like on paper, you just look down the list, whether it's PlayStation, whether it's Xbox, whether it's Nintendo, whether it's PC, multi-platform games. I mean, the amount of content slated for next year is literally unbelievable. You aren't going to go a single month without multiple huge AAA games. I mean, it is nuts. Now, of course, I do think some of this stuff's going to get delayed, but on paper, it looks unbelievable. Halo at that point will be a year old, which is going to hurt it, right? Even for nominations period. Even if Halo's incredible, you're going to have so many other games on people's minds next year. Yeah, Halo's, in my opinion, is done. It will not get nominated for Game of the Year next year, and of course it can't this year because it's too late for the date. So, yep, it's gone. That's Halo. I think there's no chance it could ever win Game of the Year at the Keeley Awards. You might, however, see Elias. I do still think there's a chance that Halo can win some awards next year, but strictly in like multiplayer and shooter categories, right? If there's not any shooters next year that blow people away, and if Halo's, shooting and multiplayer and everything is a huge home run, you could see it get nominated and win some categories there. That's definitely a possibility, especially because a lot of the games slated for next year so far aren't shooters. Is there a few? Of course. Is there going to be Call of Duty next year? Yes. But like tons of the big games we're thinking about, Elden Ring, Zelda, I could go down the list, right? I can name a million games. Suicide Squad, Harry Potter, Horizon. There's a million games. If you notice, not many of those are shooters. So it could still get nominated for some shooter categories next year. But Game of the Year, yeah, it seems like that's done. Halo's probably not going to get any nominations for that. Doesn't mean it can't from other publications, right, that do their Game of the Years differently. We're strictly talking about the Keeley Awards. The cutoff date for that's mid-November. So it will get rolled over to next year. Hamish Lee Ford. Hey, Benji. Hope you're doing great. Thoughts on the Halo Battle Pass news? Yeah, I don't like this. You will get XP only from the challenges. Not a fan. This is the very first piece of multiplayer news that I don't like for Halo. I feel like, just like basically every other shooter, you should get XP for every single match you play. I don't like that at all. I would, they still have time to change that. It's only August. That game comes out in December. I would highly recommend changing that. Even for engagement. I'm telling you right now, as somebody that pays attention to a lot of metrics, and I'm not claiming I'm better at it than 343 is. They have, brilliant people that work at Microsoft, brilliant people that work at Xbox. I'm sure brilliant people that follow sales, business, all that on 343. I'm not claiming I'm better than any of these people. But as somebody that does try to think about this stuff a lot, I think that having no XP from individual matches it's going to hurt your engagement. People want to feel like they're always earning something, right? Like, or at least making progress towards earning something. The fact that you're only getting this through challenges and not just for playing the game, think it hurts your engagement. Really do. I would change that. I would absolutely recommend them to change that. I don't think that's a good idea at all. I don't think it's a good idea at all, at all, at all. Nope. I would not do that. So that, yeah, just on a player level, I don't like it. And I also don't like it from an engagement level. I think it's a mistake on both ends. I don't think it's like game breaking. You know, I'm not sitting here telling you, oh my goodness, Halo multiplayer is ruined now because of this. No. We're just talking about Battle Pass stuff. But I do think it's not the choice. Not the one to go with, guys. You still got time to change that. You still have months. You can completely rework earning progression to factor in getting XP for matches. You still have plenty of time to change that. Elias Stapleton, who do you think will win Game of the Year 2021? And should win it? Ratchet, Returnal, Resident Evil 8, Psychonauts, who else? Forza has its own racing games awards, multiplayer as well. Thoughts? My thoughts now, so we're going to take Halo completely out because it can't qualify this year. Out of games already released, we talked about this last stream. I think Monster Hunter Rise gets a nomination. I think Ratchet gets a nomination. I think Returnal gets a nomination. And I do think Psychonauts 2 does as well now. It's one of the highest reviewed games of the year. It's at, I think an 88 on OpenCritic. I think so. I do think Psychonauts probably does. Forza, I think, as long as it's as good as the other Forza games, should get a nomination. However, this is voted on by media. Media nominating a racing game for Game of the Year seems like a massive stretch to me. We all know that media tends to skew towards cinematic games and particularly third-person games. It's just obvious. You just literally go through the list and look at the nominees every single year. There's a lot of third-person in there, and there's a lot of cinematic games. Now, is there other stuff too? Yes. I'm not saying the media only looks at one type of game. There is, though, it's undebatable, a preferred style, if you will, of game, right? There are first-person games that have been nominated. Doom just did last year. There's even been first-person shooter games that won, Overwatch. So, again, I'm not telling you all media thinks the same, that kind of stuff. There is a preferred method, and has a racing game ever been nominated for Game of the Year there? I don't think it's ever happened. So I'd like to see Forza get a nomination if it's as good as the other ones, because I think Forza Horizon's the greatest racing series of all time, and I know Gran Turismo fans will get mad at me for that, but yes, I think Forza Horizon's better than Gran Turismo. But I don't think they'll nominate it. So in terms of games that are left for this year that could get a nomination, I think Metroid Dread's a wild card and not much else. Hard for me to think of Far Cry 6 going to get nominated. Hard for me to think Battlefield or Call of Duty will. They just don't seem like the type of games that will get Game of the Year noms. Halo, as we know, is now too late. Forza's delayed out of this year. There's not a lot left that could get nominations. I think Metroid Dread's definite wild card. Kena, maybe, but I still feel like Kena probably won't either. I think it's going to be good, but I don't know if it's going to get Game of the Year level reviews. Yeah, I agree. It's probably mostly set. Who will win it? If nothing else is a big surprise, like a shock, right? All of a sudden Far Cry 6 has a 90s meta, just random, something crazy random surprises us. I think Ratchet or Returnal. I think one of those, to be honest with you. I think Ratchet or Returnal will get it. Would be my guess. Though I don't know. One thing I've noticed with Ratchet, it hasn't had the staying power in conversation. You don't really see people talk about Ratchet and Clank much anymore. Great game. Awesome game. I loved it. I got the Platinum Trophy on it. But it's not a game that you see heavily still in the discussion sphere. Kind of felt like one of those games a lot of people played and then just kind of moved on from. So I wonder if that hurts it a bit in the Game of the Year talk. I don't know. But I think it'll be one of those two probably. Or Monster Hunter Rise. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I've said before, this is one of the first years I can remember. There's no strong wow, this is Game of the Year, right? like many years we have, even if we don't have that one that you know is going to hit game of the year, you have like 2 or 3 where you're like, it is going to be one of these games. Like it's going to be one of these 2 or 3. Keep in mind, every game I've talked about right now being game of the year, none of them have over a 90 Metacritic. Not a single one has reached over 90 meta. This is like the year where it's like, I don't really know. It doesn't feel like we have that strong, this is going to be it. You know, like, are these 2 games? It's between these 2. I don't know. You know, I feel like the voting could be really split because there's just not those couple massive, you know, front runners. Again, unless something totally surprises. Unless all of a sudden Battlefield or Call of Duty end up being the greatest shooters of all time and we didn't see it coming, or Metroid Dread's a 95 meta, you know, some shocking reveal. But otherwise, it feels like there's no real front runner. I think we just had a super chat. Let me hit that. Highlander with a 10 super chat. Thank you so much, Highlander, for that 10. Thank you so much. Hey, Benji, I'm home from the hospital. Woo, woo, woo. Glad to see it, Highlander. I know you were in the hospital in the last chat. I hope you're doing better, Highlander. Saying, now 2 months of bed rest. Oh, man. I just have to say, streaming my Xbox was a godsend. Made the time better. I could play with my son and friends. Nurses loved Game Pass. That is so awesome, Highlander. Again, this is one of the reasons I think me and many people love video games, right? Like, it is just a way to help make life better, I think, in a lot of ways, right? For a lot of us. Whether it's you, Highlander, when you were in the hospital, and it's amazing that technology's come to the point where, you know, you can stream games while in the hospital. That's amazing. Whether you're somebody that fights like depression or anxiety, you know, a lot of times losing yourself in a game can help, like, you know, make you feel better. Whether you just had a tough day at work, right? And you get home and you're just stressed and you can sit down and play some games and just chill. Like, I am of the belief that video games make life better. So, Highlander, I'm glad to hear you're out of the hospital. That sucks. You got 2 months of bed rest, but we're all rooting for you to get well soon, get better soon. And thank you for the super chat, Highlander. Thank you so much. Shout out to Xbox Game Pass and xCloud, right? That's awesome. All right. Yoda Soda. Why do you think PlayStation haven't released the announcement of Blue Point being acquired? Yeah, this is interesting. Do you think they're waiting on them to announce their next game first, or there's legal trouble going on? Yeah, that Blue Point thing's weird, right? I would have bet money that Sony really did acquire Blue Point when that tweet went out, because it was so weird. It wasn't one of those things where they just had a wrong logo or something where it was like, oh, a simple Photoshop messed up. Like, one of the tweets it was like after the Housemarque acquisition. They already had the Housemarque slotted in the background. Like, it was a literal completely different graphic. So I think that led myself and many people to be like, yeah, this Blue Point acquisition's like legit. Like, they really bought Blue Point. But we've had nothing since then. It says to me it wasn't done. So maybe it's done now. Maybe they just were making that graphic to have it ready. They thought it was going to wrap sooner than it did. I don't know, but I'm inclined to believe that Blue Point has not been acquired, or at least if they were, it was like a more recent thing. I don't think they were acquired back then. It might have been in motion. It might have been happening, but I don't think it was a done deal. So I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on there, Yoda Soda, but I would say it was just probably not as far along as we all thought it was, right? Second and last, Horizon pre-orders are 2nd of September. Why? Why not now? I think they're waiting for a trailer reveal and then boom, pre-orders. PS event coming early September. Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if there's going to be an event or anything. But that is weird, yeah, that they waited on pre-orders. Maybe they're going to announce some collector's editions or something, and they just weren't ready to reveal that quite yet, or something weird like that. But that is true, Elias. That is a bit weird. 2nd of September, though, like, that's really soon. And if we were going to get a showcase that soon from them, I think they would have announced it by now, right? Because it's already Friday, so that wouldn't happen until next week. You don't make that sort of announcement on the weekend. So I don't know. The only thing I can think of is there's something that they are going to reveal, like a big collector's edition or something like that. Other than that, I don't know, Elias. I don't know why there's that week wait. I could not tell you. That was weird, though. Now that you mentioned that, that is weird. It's weird to be like, our game's delayed, and we're talking about, but you can't pre-order it for another week. That is weird, but I don't know. I don't think it indicates a showcase unless you get an announcement literally today. It is Friday. They technically could still announce it. If you don't get an announcement today, you're not getting one by that date. Doesn't mean that you won't get one in some point in September, but not before that. Super Peach Boy. Hey Benji, do you see the somewhat negative reception towards the Saints Row reveal trailer impacting the launch sales? How do you think this will all play out? You know, I thought Saints Row had potential to be pretty big before the reveal. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, I was surprised at how negatively it was received. I did not expect that after the end of watching that trailer. I wasn't like blown away by the trailer. Like I didn't watch that and be like, oh my goodness, Saints Row looks amazing, game of the year. But when I finished, I was like, yep, looks like the new Saints Row. I'm interested. And I wasn't until I started looking around online that people were like super bitter over it. And I was completely caught off guard by that. Do I think it hurts sales? No. Most of it is like people complaining about the way the game looks. I have found most of the time, in at least researching social metrics and stuff like that, that kind of thing doesn't really usually translate at all to sales potential. You saw a lot of people complaining about the way Pokemon Sword and Shield looked before they came out, and it was a colossal seller. So usually the things that do translate into reduced sales, at least from things that I have followed and seen, is when there's controversy around like the legitimate game itself. For example, like Star Wars Battlefront 2, when that was so heavily criticized for its pay to win. And yeah, it was reflected directly into sales. I would say Battlefield 5, where people felt not interested in the setting. Of course, there was a lot of other things people complained about that I don't think actually hurt the sales, but I think people didn't want to do another World War Battlefield game at the time. And I think people felt like the game didn't look like it was changing or advancing enough, etc. Like, actual, like, real legit complaints about the core of the game. This, mostly from what I've seen at least, is people being like, oh, I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the art style. Maybe that has some impact, but usually that doesn't seem to translate. Now, if the game sucks, it's not going to sell, as we all know. But I need to see more before I'm willing to like throw it, under the bus and say, oh, it's going to bomb now. I think the thing that hurts Saints Row more is it comes out a week after Horizon. And yes, I know Saints Row is multiplat and Horizon's PlayStation exclusive, but Horizon's going to have so much buzz. It's going to dominate talking points, right? So that I think is potentially the bigger issue for it than the way it looks. The fact that it's literally only a week after Horizon. People are going to be like still buzzing, talking about Horizon nonstop, dominating the news cycle. So that I think might be the bigger issue. King Lizards, do you think it's possible that we will see more game delays next year? Or do you think developers have figured things out and the delay season is over? Or does it depend on the pandemic's rise? I don't think we see as many delays next year as we saw this year. Do I think we're going to still see some? Yes. But put it this way. The thing that like really screwed people last year is that you were going last year and into this year was you were going from your normal working environment literally radically thrown into a whole brand new situation. There was no vaccination, so there was no sort of studio work at all. Now we're in a place where we have vaccines. Also, you've had way more time to adjust and learn how to work from home than what people had, last year when it was like, we're just winging it. Like, we got to figure it out on the fly. So, is delay season completely over? No. You're still going to see some delays. I do think it's very unlikely, though, that next year looks like this year in terms of the sheer number of delays. I think that's a lot less going to happen. What you actually might see, interesting King Lizards, is not so many delays because of COVID next year. You might see more delays strictly because of release schedule. Like I mentioned earlier, there are so many freaking games launching next year that some of these games are going to be right on top of each other. You might see some delays from people just figuring out the timing, where to space these things out. You might see some delays because of that, actually, more than the pandemic. Dior Amaro, why PS5 is so dominant in Europe? A lot of months in a row selling like Switch and Xbox Series X and S combined, and all games are always 100% higher in sales. Do you think it's a 100% market dominance? Yeah, mainland Europe is PlayStation City. Now, not entirely. For example, France loves Nintendo. France loves Nintendo. If you ever pay attention to the France charts, they love them some Nintendo in France. But in general, yes, Europe has always been seen as a PlayStation market. I don't see that changing this gen. I think Xbox will have more success than they had than the Xbox One in Europe, but it's still going to come nowhere close to PlayStation. Sony has just done a way better job of building the brand in Europe, of, I think, making games that appeal to the European market, et cetera, et cetera. I could go down the list, but yeah, Europe is definitely PlayStation City, and I don't expect that to change at all. At all. Batman Forever, with the PS5 shortages expected to last well through 2023, how do you think that will negatively impact next-gen exclusive titles? Would it lead developers to shift to cross-gen titles? Batman Forever, no, strictly because these consoles are selling so freaking fast. So it's like, yes, we're having shortages, but the install base is actually ahead of where we were last gen. They're selling so freaking rapidly that even though we're struggling to get those consoles to people, they're buying them immediately. Nothing is sitting on shelves hardly at all, except for maybe Xbox Series S a little bit. X, not at all. Even in Europe, we were just talking about Europe. Even in Europe, the X is selling through, almost every market. Not all markets, but most markets. When the Series X goes up, it does sell out. It's the S that kind of sits around a lot more. But even still, Xbox and PlayStation are selling it at a more rapid pace than they were last generation. So I actually don't think so. I don't think if you're a dev that's making a next-gen only game, that suddenly you go, oh my goodness, I have to go cross-gen because of shortages. Because if you look at that actual install base, it's bigger and faster than last gen was. So I don't think so. I still think by the time you hit next year, 2022, you're going to start to see a lot of next-gen only games. Now, is there going to still be cross-gen games? For sure. Yeah, for sure. I'm not telling you there's zero cross-gen games next year. But you will definitely start to see next-gen only games become more regular than this year. And by the time you hit 2023, I expect almost zero cross-gen. Basically just sports games probably, and a few other, little things here and there. But by the time you hit 2023, it's going to be current-gen only almost. Venom Harness. Hi, Midnight Suns is a really super interesting game. A superhero tactical game. What's your thoughts on it? Could it sell well? Could it reach Avengers numbers 3+ million? Midnight Suns I am hyped for. It's made by Firaxis, the developers of Civilization and XCOM. Now, it is going to play different than XCOM. A lot of people compare this to XCOM, but it is different. It is a tactical RPG, kind of like XCOM, but it is going to feel different. It has like a set story, like no permadeath on characters, etc. Some people are mad about that. I wouldn't be. That's why you have XCOM. I'm actually glad that this is its own thing. If this was literally just XCOM Marvel, I would still be hyped for it, but I'm actually more excited it's its own thing than just an XCOM reskin. I thought the trailer was really cool, really interesting. I like that you have a lot of heroes in there. You have Doctor Strange, you got Ghost Rider, you got Blade. I think it looks sweet. Could it do 3 million? Possibly, because it is even coming to Switch. It's going to be on Switch. It's going to be on PlayStation, Xbox, PC. It has a lot of platforms it can be available on. We saw Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is a little different. It's a beat 'em up, but I think a somewhat comparable thing. And that did 1 million on just Switch alone. So even if Midnight Suns performs comparable to Ultimate Alliance 3 on Switch, there's 1 million units there. And then you still have PC, PlayStation, Xbox. Yeah, as long as it's good, I think it can do over 3 million. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. But again, it has to be good. As always, as I always say with sales, gotta be good. But if it's good, yeah, I think it can do over 3 million. Could be just 1 million on just Switch alone. Red Dead Series saying hello. What is up? Tokefin was saying hi. Hello, Tokefin. Sounds PP7. What do you make of the new Starfield videos? I haven't watched them. I'm sorry. And how big do you expect Microsoft to market it this year as opposed to keeping it more under wraps until next year? Yeah, I haven't watched the Starfield videos. I've heard they're cool, mostly just setting up like some of the locations. I don't think there's any actual game footage in this. So I need to still watch those. I haven't yet. I've been super busy and sick at the same time. Now, how much do I expect Microsoft to market Starfield? Like crazy next year. I don't think you see really anything of Starfield for the rest of this year, except for maybe little things like this where they show you like art, and stuff like that. But I don't think you actually see Starfield the game until next year. However, next year they are going to market it freaking hard because this is really the first big Bethesda exclusive Xbox Game Pass game. Like, they're going to go hard on that, y'all. Hard. They're going to shove it down your throats, as they should. They spent $7 billion on Bethesda, so they're going to push it like crazy next year. I would not expect to see anything else out of Starfield for the rest of this year, except for, like I said, little things like this, maybe setting up the concepts of the universe, showing you some artwork, things like that. But I wouldn't expect like a blowout coverage of Starfield with new games and stuff like that, footage, until next year. But they'll market it hard next year, yeah. Big time. Sorry about my throat. I know it's gross. I'm struggling. It's giving out on me, my voice. Highlander with another 10 super chat here. Thank you so much, Highlander. What are your thoughts on xCloud going live, allowing next-gen games to stream on Xbox One? This is interesting. Think this is a good marketing strategy. This is a controversial opinion, I'm sure. Oh, man. This is going to be controversial. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be controversial. I don't know that I love that they're doing that. Here's the thing. If you're Microsoft and you're all in, like Microsoft's main marketing is play games anywhere you want, however you want, access as easy as possible. So from Microsoft's messaging point of view, it makes perfect sense. Like perfect sense. In fact, I feel like you almost have to do it, right? If you're in the position where you're saying that sort of thing, you're saying, hey, buy a PC and you can play there. Hey, play from your phone, play there, play on a console, like whatever you want to play on. You almost still have to have streaming on Xbox One, right? Because you're saying you're going to support gamers anywhere. So in the end, I feel like they probably made the right choice. However, like selfishly looking at it in terms of like making your box more attractive, like your next gen console, maybe it doesn't make some people have to feel like they need to rush to get one. But will it eat into Series X and S sales that much? I'm thinking about this on the fly in real time. Probably not. Because it is still just streaming, and not everyone wants to stream games, right? You do take a quality hit compared to playing it natively. So, they probably made the right choice. whenever I very first heard it, I was like, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, not next-gen games. Maybe you should just keep that for your new console. But, I mean, it plays into their whole messaging. So, you know what? I can't knock them for it. You know what? I can't. I can't knock them for it at all. They probably made the right call in the end to do that, yeah. Yeah, they probably did. They probably did. Joseki with a 2 super chat saying, "Hi Benji, just here to tell chat to buy Shin Megami Tensei 5, LOL. Also to support your content, but it didn't fit in the message." Yes, buy Shin Megami Tensei 5. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really good. I really do think so. I think it'll be the biggest selling Shin Megami Tensei game ever. Not Persona. You know, I don't think it necessarily is going to outsell Persona 5, but actual Shin Megami Tensei, I think it's going to be the best-selling one ever. Yep. I think so. I think so. We've seen Switch just pushes that software, y'all. Pushes that software. So it should be a huge success. Yep. I think it's going to be good. Buy it. If you're a fan of JRPGs and you got a Switch. Okay. Super chat here. With a 10 from Benji. That's your second super chat of the chat. Thank you so much, Benji. Lots of super chats today. Thank you so much, everyone. That is incredibly kind. Incredibly kind. You know, last month, this is kind of funny, and you guys don't care about this sort of thing, but just some inside baseball. It's kind of funny because last month, you know, I didn't stream like 3 out of 4 weeks. And, you know, I get my YouTube pays out monthly. And I was like, looking at my bank account and I was like, I was like, that didn't hit. I was like, that's kind of weird. And then I remembered, I was like, dude, you didn't stream for almost a month. Of course you didn't get a paycheck. So it's not a big deal. You know, I have a regular job. As I always say, these super chats go into a pool and they fund my gaming hobby. Like, that's literally what every super chat you guys do strictly goes into funding games. It's really helped me out a lot, being able to buy games, cover games, buy consoles, all that kind of stuff. But it was just funny because it was the first time since I started earning money on YouTube where I was like, oh yeah, that's what happens when you don't stream for a month, dude. You don't get any money. But again, as always, don't ever feel pressured or obligated to donate into Super Chat. Thank you so much, everyone. There's been a lot today. All right. So Benji with the 10 here. Sony is very strong in Europe. However, they're struggling in Japan, and US will be very competitive with both Big N and Microsoft. Can PS5 still achieve PS4 lifetime sales globally? Benji, I do believe so, but you also do make a great point that this gen is going to be more competitive than last gen. So what I think you're going to see isn't necessarily a scenario where PlayStation sales like heavily slowed down. I think you see way more cross ownership this gen than you saw last gen between PlayStation and Xbox specifically. A lot of people, I feel, felt like they could completely skip Xbox last generation, and I think somewhat understandably so. You know, I'm someone that owned an Xbox last gen. I loved the 360, y'all. The 360 is one of my favorite consoles of all time. But even I thought that Xbox just had a very rough generation last gen, right? There were some really cool exclusives, but there wasn't like a ton. So if you were somebody that was just gaming on PlayStation, you probably could feel like all of your, you know, gaming like palette was full, right? You didn't need that Xbox. You could just own a PlayStation and be perfectly fine. This gen, I think you see a lot more people buy both. Buy a PlayStation and an Xbox. Because you're going to get those big Bethesda games. You're going to get, you know, they bought Ninja Theory games. You're going to get, you know, I could go down the list about all those studios they've acquired. I just think you see a lot more cross ownership this gen. So I don't expect PlayStation sales to really take a hit. I just think you see Xbox do much better. So, I still expect PS5 to sell over 100 million units. I think Xbox hits a situation where I still don't think they sell as well as PlayStation worldwide. I don't think they probably hit that 100 million consoles sold. But I think you will see a scenario where they're way over Xbox One. So you might see Xbox Series get into that, like, 70 million range again. I think that's possible. I think that's doable. I think they can hit 70 million consoles this gen. So that's what I think. That's what I think. My main thing is I just think you see Xbox do a lot better and PlayStation not necessarily get hurt. And Nintendo, as we've discussed many times, they're just like their own thing. Like, Nintendo is like their own thing. It feels like nothing PlayStation and Xbox do either hurt Switch or help Switch. Switch is its own market. So a lot of people are going to buy that because they love Nintendo, or they're going to completely skip it because they don't like Nintendo. But I don't think any sort of competition from those other consoles impacts Nintendo. They're their own business. So Nintendo lives or dies about how good their own business and their own strategy is, right? It's like completely self-contained bubble. Whereas PlayStation and Xbox have a lot more overlap, but Xbox is finally differentiating itself enough from like the Xbox One gen where they had very few exclusives. You're going to see a lot more this gen, so I think you get more cross-ownership. Reality is outside of like Forza Horizon and a couple other games, if you completely skipped the Xbox One and you just had a PS4, you didn't miss out on a lot. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. And again, this is from someone that adored the 360. You didn't miss a lot. JCat with a 3 super chat here with a sticker saying my hero. JCat, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being in chat. Thank you so much, JCat. Thanks for always helping mod the chat. Thanks for being amazing and a supporter here for so long. I know we all love you here, JCat. Thank you for that super chat. All right, I'm going to go for about 20 more minutes or so. 20 more minutes or so. Thanks for a great turnout today, everyone. Thank you for all the super chats. It's been incredibly generous with the super chats today. Thanks for everything, y'all. Thanks for everything. I think this is 3 weeks in a row now I haven't missed a chat. I'm happy about that because we had that stretch that was rough. So I'm glad to be back and being consistent again. Shiva Sriram. Hey, Benji, do you have any information on how Psychonauts 2 is performing? What do you think Double Fine will do next? Also, Halo question. Thoughts on 343 justifying $60 for the campaign? So I actually have a couple data points I can bring up here, Shiva, to hopefully help add a little context and stuff around this. Psychonauts 2 on Steam, not that impressive, It's been like decently high on the bestsellers list. However, its peak concurrent last time I looked was around like 6,000 players, which is pretty low, right? Pretty low. My thoughts on Psychonauts 2 is I think it's going to be a big Game Pass hit. It's one of those games that a lot of people never played Psychonauts 1. A lot. That game was literally seen as a cult classic. And the way Psychonauts 2 even became a thing was funding. Remember, they did like Fig, I think it was like crowdfunded to get Psychonauts 2 made. This was before Microsoft owned them. So the brand just isn't a huge brand. So people going out and spending, $60 on this game to actually fully buy the game, I think that's going to be not a huge chunk of people just because the brand, right? It's literally not a well-known, well-loved, huge IP. It is literally a niche game. However, I do think it's going to see a lot of success on Game Pass. The game, keep in mind those Steam concurrent numbers won't factor in at all people playing the game on PC through Game Pass. And, on console, I think it'll get a lot of engagement through Game Pass as well. This was a game that, I even said during my last chat, someone was asking this before launch, and I was like, I just don't see it being a huge seller. Still stand by that, but that doesn't mean it's a flop or a bomb by any means, because Microsoft measures success now different. I think with the strong reviews, good word of mouth, you see a lot of people pick this up on Game Pass and play this franchise for the first time. So if they ever make a Psychonauts 3, I could see that being bigger than 2 because people will have played 2, got exposed to the franchise for the first time, really liked it, and this been more hyped for Psychonauts 3. And then in terms of Halo, it's been in like the top 5 bestsellers since it went up for pre-order on Steam, which surprised me somewhat because it's just for the $60 campaign. because multiplayer is free to play, and you can also access this game on Game Pass, the campaign. So I think the campaign will sell decent at $60, but like I tweeted, I expect the vast majority of Halo's engagement, we're talking over 90%. My dog just opened the door. Y'all see that? What the heck? My dog just opened that door somehow. So that door behind me is now open because my dog opened it. Not entirely sure how he did that. But but Halo, I expect like literally like 80% of its engagement to come from free to play and Game Pass. I literally think that Halo Infinite sales won't look impressive at all. I don't think it's going to be a bomb sales. Like I don't think this game sells 100,000 units, but I don't expect Halo Infinite to be one of those games that's like topping NPD charts and things like that. But it has been a top 5 seller on Steam since it went up for pre-order this week. So some people are definitely still buying it. But here's the thing. I'm going to tell everyone this right now. I told them this last week. I'll tell you this every week until the game launches if people bring it up. Don't judge Halo Infinite on the very first sales charts we see for this game. Don't judge it on that at all, because the vast bulk of engagement is going to come from free-to-play and Game Pass. Once we hear player numbers and once we see retention numbers, that's how we have to judge Halo. We cannot judge this Halo compared to previous Halos. Every Halo game before this, you literally had to buy it. The only way to play the game was to buy Halo. This time, you don't just have one way to play this game without buying it. You have 2 ways to play this game without buying it. You have Game Pass, which gives you that campaign if you're already a sub. And then you got free to play, which has 0 barrier of entry. So it cannot be judged compared to previous Halos. We have to look at Halo Infinite as its own bubble. Does that mean it's a guaranteed success? No, I'm not telling you to just assume Halo Infinite's going to be a massive success. I'm just saying don't look at Halo Infinite's launch sales numbers, directly compare them to Halo 3, for example, and be like, what a bomb. It's a totally different business strategy. Literally a completely different business model. So it has to be judged differently. I mean, look at Apex Legends. Apex Legends is completely free to play, has 0 presence on any sales chart, and has generated $2 billion, right? Now, I'm not telling you Halo Infinite's going to be as big as Apex Legends, but you get what I'm getting at. Sales charts nowadays, especially with a free-to-play component, it just doesn't tell you the whole story. For some games, it does, right? For example, in a Nintendo Switch game, let's look at Metroid Dread. You will literally know how well that game did based on how many units it sells, because the only way to play Metroid Dread is going out and buying the game. But other stuff like Halo and Apex and Fortnite, they have to be judged differently. Jose Contreras has a shout out. Hey guys, watching the doc on the game collection data fraud. Really good. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Cameron Swear. Care to throw your hat in the Metroid Dread ring above or below 3 million? Best selling Metroid ever? 3 million? Above. I'm going to go above. I'm going to go above 3 million, yeah. Y'all, Switch pushes ridiculous software numbers. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm going to go above 3 mil. Might be a little bold, might be a little strong for Metroid when you look at its history, but I don't think so. I'm going to go above 3 million for Metroid Dread. Think it's going to do real good. Think it's going to do really, really good. I think we just had a super chat. You guys want to see my dog? I see people saying dog, dog, dog. Let me show you my puppy. Hey, Rushy boy. Come here. Here's my doggy Rushy. Hi, Rushy. Can you say hi? Hi, everybody. This is my puppet dog, Rush. He's a good boy. Good Rushy boy. All right, I'll put him back down. Okay. That is my puppy, Rush. His name is Rush, after the UFC fighter George Rush St. Pierre. Okay. Red Hood 420 here with a super chat with a 5 saying Halo needs to get delayed. Co-op and multiplayer progression, enough said. I get that viewpoint, Red Hood. I made a tweet about this, which was somewhat controversial, but I honestly stand by it. I don't think co-op has any negative impact on a large scale for Halo Infinite's total player numbers. And listen, I know that's controversial. And what I also want to say, Red Hood, to be very, very clear, is that, oh yeah, he's digging back here? Yeah. Oh yeah, and Benji's saying it looks, he's a fox, not a dog. I know he does. He looks like a fox, doesn't he? He does. We thought that from the day we got him. He looks like a fox, but he is a dog, I promise. He just looks like a fox. And yes, he's digging a hole through my carpet. But anyways, back to what I was saying, Red Hood. I'm not saying people shouldn't be upset over the co-op delay at all, right? I'm not saying people shouldn't make their voices heard, that they feel like this is a core aspect of Halo. And I'm also saying, Red Hood, that I don't think anyone's in the wrong for skipping Infinite until co-op comes out. However, I do think that it doesn't really hurt the player numbers that much, which is the main reason they felt okay delaying this, strictly because, Red Hood, the barrier of entry for Halo Infinite is so low, right? Again, if you have Game Pass, you pay nothing extra to play this game at all. And if you're only interested in multiplayer, you literally boot up the multiplayer and you don't spend $1 on it. So maybe people boot up Halo Infinite's multiplayer and play that and completely skip campaign till co-op comes out. That is totally possible. But if you're 343, that doesn't hurt your player numbers, right? That person's just waiting on campaign. They're still engaging with your multiplayer portion. Is there going to be some people that completely skip Halo Infinite? They don't even touch the free-to-play. They don't even touch Game Pass till co-op drops? Yes. However, the overall number, I think it's a very small hit, which is the main reason they felt okay delaying it. Again, that doesn't mean people shouldn't be upset. Again, that doesn't mean people shouldn't make their voices heard. That 343, we wanted co-op. What's happening here? Doesn't mean you shouldn't even skip it until that comes out. I'm just looking at this strictly through business, sales, engagement. Losing co-op day one is going to have a very small impact just because the barrier of entry was so low. Now, if this was a $60 game, you had no way to engage, zero way to engage with Halo except for buying it, I do think it hurts it more. I actually do, Red Hood, think that dropping co-op would have a much bigger impact because I think there are some people that truly buy Halo to play co-op campaign with their friends. So if that was the deal, I think it would be a bigger blow. But the fact that the barrier of entry is so incredibly low on this game, you can access it for free in 2 different ways, it don't hurt them that bad. So I actually don't think they should delay it. No, I don't think so. But I totally get the sentiment. I'm not telling anyone they're wrong for being upset at 343 for this. I'm just saying when you look at it from 343 and Microsoft's business end, you're probably like, we don't lose that many players doing this, so delay it. Benji with a 5 super chat. Holy cow, the super chats are through the roof today. Y'all are amazing. Holy cow. Holy cow. Benji with a 5. Your thoughts on Deathloop? Looks cool, but there is no hype. I agree. I don't see this game performing this holiday with all the competition. I hate to say this because Arcane's an amazing developer. Kind of with you, Benji. The hype does not feel big. If this gets like crazy reviews, okay? If this becomes one of those Game of the Year contenders we were talking about earlier, right? We were talking about games that could become Game of the Year contention. That could help it. But as of now, Benji, and I love Arcane's games, I agree. Deathloop feels like it has almost no hype. So I expect it to be high quality. I don't expect it to be a giant sales success, though. I hate to say that. Hate to say it. The one advantage it has is that it's one of the few next-gen PS5 only exclusives, which I think helps it. but in terms of like buzz, but even still, the buzz feels very low. Hate to say it, but yeah, I don't expect it to be a huge seller unless reviews are through the roof. That could change things, but outside of that, lots of love for Rushy Boy. Thank you. He's being super cute and super good down there. I love Rush. He was my first kid, right? My fur child. Joseki with a 2 super chat here. Thank you so much, Joseki. Speaking of free-to-play, Ninjala Dev said it overperformed. Great to hear. Overperformed, especially in NA. 8+ million downloads. Boom. That is awesome. Joseki, thank you for that extra information. Did not even know that about the 8+ million downloads. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for keeping us informed here. And thank you so much. That's great to hear. Great to hear. Big success then. Lots of Rush love. Is he a data dog? Yes. He's a data dog. Rush left a gift in the corner for you, I think. No, he didn't. He just does that. He just digs. I don't know what the deal is. I guess it's like his DNA. He's like some kind of digging dog or whatever. I don't even know what he is. He's like a mutt. You know, we adopted him from the pound. You know, he was a stray dog. I have no idea what his DNA is, but apparently whatever he has, it makes him a digger. So he just does that. Just like he says, put your dog in the thumbnail and the views will skyrocket. Yeah, I should do that. I should put Rush in the thumbnail next time. Split at 89 with a 2 super chat saying, use this and get Rush a treat. Sounds like a plan. I will get Rush some sort of treat. I'll do it at work today, right? I work at retail. I'll make sure I get him a treat just for being a good boy. All right, we got to wrap this up in about a little over 10 minutes. So let me blast fire some questions. Thanks for an awesome turnout today, everyone. Thanks for a great chat. So many comments and questions in chat today. Let's rock out just a few more, and then we got to go. Sounds PP7, when do you expect Forza Motorsport 8? And how long do you think Turn 10 will keep it going alongside Horizon? Motorsport 8 is going to be next year, I think. 2022. Yep. That's what I would expect it. Next year for, I think they're just calling it Forza Motorsport. They're like rebooting it, right? Quote, quote. It's like going to become a platform. And how long will it keep going along Horizon? This might be the only Forza this generation. That's the vibe I get, is they're turning Forza Horizon into a platform game. Maybe you get one other one, but I think that this might be it. Like, they might make this Forza game and then just release lots of tracks, lots of expansions over the years for it, instead of making multiple new Forzas this gen. This might be the only one. And I expect that to launch next year. Ooh, Rick Payne, Hellblade 2 Game Awards gameplay. What do you think? Could be. I expect Microsoft to show something big there. Phil Spencer already hinted at it. So it could be Hellblade. It could be something else entirely new. Phil mentioned right after E3, he was doing in a video. Maybe it was with IGN Unlocked. I don't remember. Phil was doing an interview with someone, and he said that he was already planning on what they were going to show at the Game Awards. So there's going to be something big for Microsoft there. Like, if Phil's already planning that out 6 months in advance, it's big. Like, they're going to show something big at the Game Awards. Could be Hellblade 2 gameplay. Could be something else. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's definitely has potential. It could be Hellblade 2, something big. Anthony Johnson saying, Benji is great, so more than happy to toss in support however I can. That was for that monstrous 50 super chat earlier. Thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you so much. That was incredibly kind and generous. Seriously. King of the Dry Bones, what do you think Nintendo is going to announce at the next Direct besides Xenoblade 3? Definitely a new Xenoblade game. We basically have a million indications that that's happening. There is a new Xenoblade. It's coming. And then what else? Here's my question. Where is the next 3D Mario? I am shocked we have not had the announcement of a new 3D Mario since Odyssey. Odyssey was in 2017. Y'all, it has already been 4 years. Right? Wasn't Odyssey 2017? Am I wrong on that? I think it was a 2017 game. Yeah, 2017. We're at 4 years and there's not even a new one announced. I don't know that will get announced at the next one, but they got to announce that somewhat soon, right? I'm shocked there's no new 3D Mario even announced. So I would put that as a wild card. The only one that seems like a lock for me is Xenoblade. But maybe we'll finally see Metroid Prime. Or maybe we'll finally see Bayonetta 3 if those games are still real. Which they are. I'm just teasing. But I'll throw my hat in on the wild card 3D Mario game getting announced. But who knows? That's kind of a big deal, though, so they might save that for an E3. Couple more questions. Isildur's Bane is not a fan of the current iteration of Spidey. Just says he's a little bit more too kiddie. Here's the cool thing at Isildur's Bane is they cast Tom young enough when they did this. I think this is the last kid Spider-Man movie you're going to get. After this, they're going to make him probably an adult in the MCU. And you're probably going to see him as the mentor over Miles Morales. That is what I expect. So I think if you're looking for a more grown-up take on Spider-Man, I expect this will be the last one that you see where they're really still trying to portray him as a kid. You know, he'll be college age, that kind of thing. And they're probably going to bring Miles Morales in. So you'll probably actually see him become the mentor instead of being mentored by Stark, you know, like you mentioned in your comment. Hammersley Ford says, props to Jeff for actually taking feedback. Last year, Gamescom was really bad. We criticized, and this year he nailed it. I agree with that. I agree with that completely. I thought there were some pretty cool announcements last year, like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, but overall the show, to me, I enjoyed this year way more. This year's Gamescom, I thought, was way better. Last year felt so much like an advertisement for huge chunks of it. This time, you know, the ads didn't bother me, to be honest. It felt kind of mostly about the games with some ads. You do have to have some ads to support these things. You know, he can't just make the stream for free. But yes, this year was so much better. So much better than last year's. Hammersley Ford, Kojima Xbox game at the Game Awards? I think so, yes. I think it happens. In fact, I feel really confident it happens. Not necessarily inside info, but that is the rumor that is floating around. I can say that. I can say that is the rumor in the grapevine, but I have zero idea if that's true. Zero idea. But the rumor in the grapevine is that it will be there. But again, I don't consider myself an insider, so I have no idea if that's true. But the rumor is Kojima, Xbox game, the Game Awards. I would not take that to the bank at all, though, because that could 100% be false. Diagazo, I think this year's TGAs is going to be huge, both in terms of viewership and announcements. I agree. I think it'll be the biggest year yet. Biggest year yet. Every year has been the biggest year yet for the Game Awards, right? It keeps accelerating. Only thing that might hurt it is, like I mentioned earlier, game reveals definitely going to be huge. The discussion pre-TGAs might not be as intense, though, because last year felt so stacked, like it was competitive. You had Ghost of Tsushima in there for Game of the Year. You had The Last of Us for Game of the Year. You had Final Fantasy VII Remake. You had Animal Crossing. You had Doom Eternal. Like, you had some hitters. So people were doing like a lot of debates, like what's going to get it. You know, this is a competitive year. There's some amazing, you know, highly, highly reviewed games. Like I mentioned, this year doesn't feel like there's a standout like that. So I don't know if the debates will be as intense, but the actual announcements and show, I think, will be huge, yeah. Split and best mod in the business saying, I'm with you. I'm not a fan of the way XP is being distributed in Halo. Yeah, that is my main criticism of the multiplayer. Outside of that, I'm completely confident, partially because I've played it and it felt great. I don't like that for the Battle Pass. I think it's a bad choice. Bad choice. All right. I'm going to pull like 2 or 3 questions and we're out. Oh, yeah. Halo Infinite and Dying Light are now the same week. Not great for Dying Light. Not great. Not great. Though I think it's a little bit before Halo, but still not great. Yeah, not good. Maybe scoot Dying Light, but I don't know. I don't know if they have much wiggle room. They might have to do it. Anthony Johnson says, IGN had a fun article earlier today. There have been over 35 game delays so far this year. Yeah, it's insane, right? This year on paper looked stacked, and then it wasn't. Don't get me wrong, there's still been some good stuff this year, but this has definitely not been one of the strongest years ever for games, right? Some good stuff. I'm not like saying it's been a terrible year, but it definitely doesn't rank as one of the strongest. But next year looks incredible. But again, who knows if delays will ruin that. But right now it looks unbelievably stacked. Hummersley Ford, God of War 2023? LOL? I don't think so. I still think it makes next year. I would not expect this game early next year, though. I think God of War is probably going to be that summer game now. Keep in mind, The Last of Us was in June. Massive seller. And Ghost of Tsushima was July and also sold excellent. So they can launch games in summer and still sell plenty well. There used to be a belief you had to be in holiday season, or then that started to scoot until you could be really successful early in the year, like that April-ish time frame. Summer still can be huge. I could see God of War getting like that June or July slot. So I still think it's next year. But yeah, it could be summer. Truth Teller saying, Benji, any updates regarding the Kojima and Xbox deal? Only thing I've heard is, like I said, that it happened. But I'm not the guy that does a ton of digging. I'm the guy that sometimes hears rumors, but I don't like actively research rumors, right? Somebody can pop in my DMs, or somebody can various other methods. Sometimes they send me some stuff. I read it. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's not. But I'm not that guy that's going out there like finding it out, getting the scoops, talking to the devs. Hey, I heard this rumor. Is this true? That's not me at all. But from what I've heard, yeah, it's a thing, and it's done, and could be at the Game Awards, but I have no idea if that's true. All right, are we wrapping it up? We wrapping it up? One more question. One more question, and then I got to go. I'm sorry. I wish I could go longer, but I can't. Let's get Danger Man one. Danger is in these a lot. Let's get Danger Man, and I gotta go. I wish I could get more, but I'm gonna hit Danger Man's, and then we're gonna go. Danger Man, question: do you think Sony 2022 is Q1 Horizon, Q2 God of War, Q3 GT, Q4 Final Fantasy 16 Forspoken, and then Spider-Man 2 for 2023? My hunch, yeah, obviously we have Horizon now in February. God of War, I'm expecting actually to be January, February, March, April, May, June. Either the very end of Q2 or very beginning of Q3, because I think God of War summer now. I really do. I think it got delayed till summer. That's my guess. It's going to be June or July. So either the very end of Q2 or the very beginning of Q3. GT, I also think might be the summer, but I don't know. But Gran Turismo, who knows, right? That team always takes 10 million years to make anything. So will that even be 2022 now, right? Maybe that's going to be 2023 with the way that studio develops games. Final Fantasy 16 Forspoken, I do expect those. Here's what's crazy. I think those are both next year. Now, they are very different in style, but that is wild that Square Enix is going to drop two massive RPGs in that vein in the same year. But they do feel very different. Forspoken is an RPG, but it's like a character action, I feel like, RPG, and it's a new IP, whereas Final Fantasy 16 is, your traditional Final Fantasy game. But I do expect them both next year. Forspoken's already announced for next year, but 16's not. Forspoken, I think, I have no idea what the timing on that looks like. I have no idea, like, which one hits where. They're not going to want to drop those games too close to each other. They will want some gap. One of those is going to be in that Q4, that September, October, November range, that end of Q3, Q4. And another one might be a summer or spring game, maybe one of those closer than we expect. And Spider-Man will be 2023, that Spider-Man's not going to be next year, I don't think. So 2023. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for another great episode. Thank you, everyone, for interacting. Thank you for all the crazy super chats today. You guys were incredibly generous. Thanks for always supporting my channel. Thanks for always supporting my work. Thanks for a stacked chat. There was so much to talk about today. It was awesome. All right, I'm going to bounce out. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Trying to get to 3,000 subs, go over 3,000 and under 3,000, depending on who subscribes and unsubscribes. We're right on that line. I just need a tiny bit more to get to 3K. So subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button if you like doing these chats. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps people find my channel, and all of that goodness. All right, everybody, stay safe. Play some games. I'll catch you next time, either here on YouTube. We'll be back next week, or I will see you on Twitter. All right, everybody, I'm out. Peace. Bye, 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 bye.